Part 22. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 211. Chapter 211 Chapter 211 Who is to blame for the dark circles under the eyes? The next day, Zhang Xiao was sitting at the dining table with big dark circles under his eyes, biting into a sandwich and yawning constantly. It looked like he had not rested last night. The old man felt distressed again when he saw her like that. "Child, why don't we go to school today and catch up on our nap at home?" Zhang Xiao shook his head and said that he was going to school. "When I was young, school was important, but health was also important. You wouldn't be able to learn well in school in your current state. Grandpa asked for leave for you." The old man feels sorry that she didn't sleep well. Today's young people die suddenly because they don't get a good rest, so he is naturally worried. The corner of Zhang Xiao's mouth twitched. The old man really felt sorry for Bai Yueguang in an unusual way. With such pampering, it was really not easy for Bai Yueguang not to grow crooked. Thinking back to my real life, when I went to bed late because of homework and didn't get up the next day, my mother would just pull her up from the bed and drag her to school. She would never allow you to catch up on sleep at home. "Grandpa, the midterm exam is coming soon. I want to do well in the exam and make your face shine, so I'm going to school." Zhang Xiao insisted on his position. The old man felt sorry for Zhang Xiao, but there was nothing he could do about her. "Xiao, if you can't stand it any longer, just call. Grandpa will have someone pick you up." "Good. What to pick up?" Zhang Xiao's words were still in her throat. The boss, wearing a black sweatshirt, appeared behind her and answered the call. "I told her not to go to school when she was young, but this girl insisted on going," the old man said with a hint of complaint in his tone. Fu Chenxiao stared at Zhang Xiaoxi and answered the old man's words seriously. "Well, I did not sleep well. The dark circles under my eyes are a bit serious. If you don't want to go to school, just don't go." "Zhang Xiao. Who is to blame for the severe dark circles under her eyes?" "It's the person in front of her. Her body is cold, and her hands and feet tend to get cold. She slept with the boss for a while, and the boss's body became warm. Suddenly last night there was no such warmth in the room, and she was woken up by the cold." Thinking about how he couldn't sleep warmly last night, Zhang Shi stared at Fu Chenxiao with a bit of resentment. Fu Chenxiao frowned and stared at Zhang Xiaoxi, who was staring at him with resentful eyes, a little confused. "If you don't want to go to school, I'll ask for leave for you." Zhang Xiao took a big bite of his sandwich and said vaguely, "I'm going to school." "Well, I'll take you there," Fu Chenxiao said. "You send me off to school after school, and come back to pick me up to have morning tea with Yueru." The old man made an appointment with Wen Yueru. Zhang Xiao had already decided to go to school. After listening to the old man's words, he almost blurted out, "Grandpa, I'll go have morning tea with you." "Old man." "Fu Chenxiao." Zhang Xiao smiled dryly, inwardly despising herself for being so quick to talk, but as long as she thought of the big boss meeting when Yueru alone, she couldn't accept it at all, and she would become depressed. She said in a very slap-in-the-face, "Grandpa, my dark circles are so severe that I can easily fall asleep. Just like you said, I can't listen to anything. I might as well go have morning tea with you and catch up on my sleep when I get back." "Okay, let's go together." Of course the old man liked Zhang Xiao's company, and he agreed immediately after hearing her say that she wanted to go together. Fu Chenxiao looked at Zhang Xiaoxi with a serious look, and his thin lips naturally curled up. Zhang Xiao held the old man's arm and said sweetly, "Grandpa, I want to eat walnut cake. I heard it can nourish the brain." End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 212. Chapter 212 Chapter 212 The nameless fire is burning. Fu Chenxiao drove the old man and Zhang Xiaoxi to the appointment. Zhang Xiao held the old man's arm and talked and laughed all the way, completely ignoring Fu Chenexai who was driving in front of him. When they arrived at their destination, Zhang Xiao was helped out of the car by the old man, and Fu Chenexai also got out of the car and followed them. Private room with quiet environment. Wen Yuru was wearing a light purple dress, sitting on the tatami and sipping tea. She looked like an ancient lady, and her every move was elegant. Seeing them come in, Wen Yuru stood up and greeted them. When he saw Zhang Xiaoxi, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes, but it was only for a moment, but Zhang Xiaoxi still caught it. Zhang Xiaozhuangzi's brows wrinkled slightly. "Uncle, you are here," Wen Yuru greeted politely. The old man smiled kindly and said, "Well, here we are, and I brought a follower with me." Wen Yuru fixed his gaze on Zhang Shishi, with a slight smile on his lips. "Xiaoxi, you don't have class today?" "No, Sister Yuru doesn't mind if you go out with Grandpa to eat and drink, right?" Zhang Xiao also smiled, but it was a superficial smile but not a smile. "I don't mind, I'm very welcome." Wen Yuru's attitude was generous. "If you don't want to eat walnut cake, why are you standing here?" Fu Chenexai sat directly on the tatami, slid his fingers on the tablet a few times, and ordered food. Zhang Xiao helped the old man sit on the tatami, and naturally sat next to the old man. Before Zhang Xiao could react, Wen Yuru had already placed a cup of tea in front of the old man. "Uncle, this is this year's new tea, please try it." The old man picked up the teacup, tasted it carefully, and said, "It has a slightly bitter taste in the mouth, a sweet aftertaste, and a refreshing fragrance. This tea is new to your back garden." Wen Yuru smiled lightly and said, "Uncle, your mouth is very good. This tea is indeed tea from my garden. It has not been brewed to remove the bitter taste, so it is slightly bitter in the mouth. You are a master of tea tasting. Why do you think of drinking this tea?" The old man put down the teacup and looked at Wen Yuru kindly. Wen Yuru took his seat, refilled the old man's cup, and replied, "I heard that you drank this kind of tea when you started your business. I guess you haven't had it for many years, so you must be nostalgic for this taste. There are quite a few tea trees like this in my old house, but I haven't picked them for many years. You must have been careful." The old man looked at her with admiration. "I should understand your preferences. After all, my senior and I have a long life ahead of us." Wen Yuru's words made Zhang Xiaoxiu's face suddenly darken, and his chest felt as if there was a stone blocking it, making him extremely uncomfortable. Hearing her saying that she was in a good mood, the old man smiled happily and said, "Have you thought about it? Of course, I'd like you to meet with your brother when the time comes so that we can discuss the next steps." Wen Yuru glanced at Fu Chenexai shyly. Fu Chenexai sipped the tea with an expressionless face. Zhang Xiao had a sullen face, and there was an unknown fire burning in his heart, with nowhere to vent it. Finally, when he saw a glass of water on the table, he picked it up and drank it in one gulp. Finally, he placed the cup heavily on the table and looked at the boss with an evil look. Fu Chenexai frowned and helped her fill up the water glass. "Zhang Xiao. The boss is indeed a big pig. Last night, he told himself that he would not marry either Wen Yuru or Mo Zhangxiang. Now people are talking about marriage. As expected, men's words cannot be trusted." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 213. Chapter 213. Chapter 213 Ds. Zhang Xiao sullenly drank the water the boss gave her to refill her water glass, and then placed it heavily on the table. Fu Chenexai helped her fill up the water silently. Zhang Xiao angrily picked up the water glass again and poured it into his mouth. After drinking the water, he stared at Fu Chenexai with his dark eyes wide open, and placed the water glass in front of Fujinexiu angrily. Fujinexiu's frown deepened, and he raised his hand to help her fill up the water glass. Zhang Xiao was about to drink the water in the water glass again, but the old man stopped him. "Child, are you hungry?" The old man saw that she had drank 3 glasses of water, and thought that the child must be very hungry. "Zhangxi. Grandpa, I don't have." Zhang Xiaoxiao was still talking when he saw the old man turning his attention to Fujinexiu. "Xiaoxiao, she is hungry, but you still don't rush to serve food, and you keep giving her water." The old man spoke to Fujinexiu with a warm and angry tone. If Wenyuoru hadn't been there, I'm afraid the old man would have taken action now. Fujinexiu looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao, his eyebrows lowered, and he asked in a deep voice, "Are you hungry?" Zhang Xiao. She was so hungry. She was so full now. She drank 3 glasses of water within 3 hours of eating breakfast, and she didn't feel hungry at all. Do you still need to ask? You've already drank 3 glasses of water. You must be hungry. Why don't you urge her? The old man interrupted Fujinexiu's words directly. He was only afraid that Zhang Xiao was hungry now. Fujinexiu frowned, slid the tablet, and clicked on it a few times. Within 2 minutes, a beautiful waiter came in, carrying exquisite pastries and placing them on the table. "Almond cake, please enjoy it first. The next pastries will be served within 10 minutes. As soon as the pastries were served, the old man took a piece and put it in Zhangxi's bowl. "Xiaoxi, you must be hungry. Eat quickly." "Zhang Xiao. She is not hungry, not at all." The old man personally put the pastry in her bowl. Zhang had to eat it no matter what when she was a child. She could only pick up the pastry and put it in her mouth with a smile. She also had to say sweetly to the old man, "Grandpa, you love me the most. Be good, walnut cake will be served soon, eat more." The old man put the whole plate of cakes in front of Zhang Xiaoxi. Jiang's face froze when he was a child. When he looked at the cakes placed on his own, he wanted to keep the dog in place. "Grandpa, Uncle, you are too partial. I am also hungry. I can't finish the food in 1 hour." Wenyuoru half coquettishly placed the almond cake in the center of the table. At this moment, Zhang Xiao felt that she was like an angel, helping him solve the problem. "Grandpa, I'm not too hungry, and I also want to keep my stomach open for other things." The old man absolutely doted on Zhang Xiaoxiao, and whatever she said was what she said. "Grandpa knows, if you taste something delicious later, we will take some back." "Thank you, Grandpa. Senior, I remember that you also like to eat almond cake. You can also have a piece, it tastes good." Wenyuoru put the cake in Fujinexiu's bowl. Zhang Xiaoxiao's nerves became tense when Wenyuoru spoke. When he saw Wenyuoru putting the almond cake in Fujinexiu's bowl, he immediately ate the almond cake in the boss's bowl, or swallowed it in one bite. "Sister Yuoru, I'm afraid you don't know that Uncle Wu is allergic to almonds now, which is very scary." Wenyuoru smiled lightly and looked at Zhang with the same eyebrows that he had arched since he was a child. "Really?" End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 214. Chapter 214. Chapter 214. Uncle Wu will take care of me. Yes, ask Uncle Wu if you don't believe me. As Zhang Xiaoxiao spoke, he turned to Fujinexiu and stared at him with his bright black eyes. "Uncle Wu, are you allergic to almonds?" Fujinexiu kept his composure, took a sip of tea calmly, and responded lightly, "Yes." When Zhang Xiaoxiao heard the answer, his eyebrows curved, revealing his big white teeth, and he raised his head proudly at Wenyuoru. Wenyuoru pursed her lips and smiled secretly. "Senior, it seems that I don't know much about you after not seeing you for many years. It seems that I should get to know you better in the future, so that I can take care of you more conveniently. Sister Yuoru, don't you work at the finance bureau, Do you still have time to take care of your fifth uncle while you are at work? Zhang Xiao asked. Of course I do. When I was little, you can tell me if you have any taboos now, and I will take care of you in the future, Wen Yuuru said with a smile. Zhang Xiaoxiao replied to her with a smile, Sister Yuuru, you don't have to take care of me. My fifth uncle will take care of me. My fifth uncle knows all my preferences and taboos. Uncle Wu, do you think so? Fu Chenexai raised his eyebrows and stared at Zhang Shi, speechless. Zhang Xiaoxiao was anxious. He stared at Fu Chenexai with his big eyes. He gritted his back molars and asked the boss, Uncle Wu, do you think so? Seeing that someone was anxious, Fu Chenexai responded lightly, yeah. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at Wen Yuuru with embarrassment. Wen Yuuru smiled secretly in his heart. It seemed that some people's tricks worked. Seeing that this little girl was anxious, then I will ask the seniors in the future. Zhang Shi. Okay, don't worry about Xiao Xiao. After you get married, I will take Xiao Xiao back to my old house, and you can live your life peacefully, the old man interjected. Uncle, if you bring Xiao Xiao back to your old home, I'm afraid the senior will not agree. After all, when the senior contacted me, he already made it clear that he must take good care of Xiao, Wen Yuuru said calmly. The old man looked at Fu Chenexai a little surprised. He didn't expect that he would explain clearly in advance. That girl Zhou Yuling didn't really accept Zhang Xiaoxi before, but now it seems that Wen Yuuru is indeed good. Zhang Shishi was picked up by Mr. Fu. This is not a secret at all in Ruchen. Fu Chenexai's love for Zhang Shishi is even less secret. This has led to many people treating Zhang Shishi politely on the surface, but actually behind his back. No matter how much he talks, Wen Yuuru is able to accept Zhang Xiaoxi instantly and sincerely, which is the most rare and valuable thing. The old man became more and more satisfied with Wen Yu's scholarly affairs, and he smiled and said, when I was little, I will go to college soon, and I don't need you to take care of me. I am getting older day by day, so I just want her to spend more time with me. Zhang Xiaoxiao's eyes turned red when he heard the old man's words. He held the old man's hand and said, Grandpa, I'm sorry, I didn't spend more time with you. My dear, why are you crying? The old man comforted her hurriedly. Grandpa didn't mean to blame you, why are you crying? Zhang cried when she was young. The first reason was that she really felt sorry for the old man. He loved Baiyu Egwang so much, but he didn't know that Baiyu Egwang was already dead, and she couldn't tell the old man yet. The second thing is to think about her parents. She is an only child. If she died, will she be like the old man in the future? End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 215. Chapter 215. Chapter 215. Responsibility. Grandpa, I will spend more time with you in the future. Zhang Xiaoxiao burst into tears. The old man felt warm in his heart. Okay, just don't dislike Grandpa for being such a bad old man in the future. No, Zhang Xiaoxiao pouted and said. The grandfather and grandson became emotional there, which made the atmosphere a bit awkward. Dad, you want to be moved back home? Fu Chenexai broke the atmosphere between the two of them in a cold voice. The old man had a serious face and stared at Fu Chenexai, looking like he was about to get angry. As soon as Zhang was a child, he pulled the old man away and said, Grandpa, don't get angry at Uncle Wu. Uncle Five is actually quite pitiful. The old man glanced at Fu Chenexai with a cold snort, and said in a helpful tone, he is pitiful? Why is he pitiful? Zhang Xiaoxi looked at Fu Chenexai's unchanging cold face, curled his lips and said to the old man, Grandpa, the fifth uncle is really pitiful. In recent years, the fifth uncle has been flying around the world and rarely has any time to rest. Stay with me at home whenever you have time, and help me deal with some messes. Think about it, Uncle Wu is in a foreign country, and sometimes he can't even taste his hometown food. It's not a pity. The old man frowned and said nothing. Grandpa, I remember one year during the Chinese New Year, we were all celebrating the New Year together at our old house. Uncle Wu went to Rongcheng alone because a group of workers had not received their wages. Uncle Wu brought cash to give to them. I couldn't understand it before. Uncle Wu was obviously very rich and still making money, but he didn't come back to accompany us during the Chinese New Year. It wasn't until that year that I understood that if Uncle Wu didn't work, many people would be unemployed, and maybe even there will be families broken up, so I understand that Uncle Wu has a heavy burden on his shoulders. The true feelings, Zhang Xiao said. The old man moved his eyebrows and stared at Zhang Xiao, his eyes filled with soft light, as if the little girl in his eyes had grown up all of a sudden. Fu Chenxiu has been in charge of the Fu family and his own overseas companies these years. The old man naturally knows how tired he is. He feels sorry for his son, but there is nothing he can do. There are tens of thousands of employees under the Fu family. If they stagnate, then what should a person do? This is the responsibility on his shoulders. There is no way. He also wanted his son to live a relaxed and casual life, but he helped his brothers shoulder those responsibilities. The old man looked at Fu Chenxiu with guilt in his eyes, and his tone was filled with distress. It's better to give yourself a holiday when you have time. Luo Yi should be able to take care of himself. Zhang Xiaoxiao felt the change in the old man's mood and gently pulled the old man's sleeve with his hand. Grandpa. Child, you are right, your fifth uncle is also very pitiful, the old man said, pulling his lips. Fu Chenxiu stared at the old man, pursed his thin lips and said nothing, but if you look carefully, you can see that the outline of his face is tight. This is how the morning tea ends. Zhang Xiao was holding the food packed from the store, his two black eyes always staring at Fu Chenxiu and Wenyuoru. Since Wenyuoru didn't drive, Fu Chenxiu had to take her home. Senior, I wonder if you are free tomorrow. Can I ask you to watch a movie? Wenyuoru glanced at the rearview mirror. Then let's make an appointment to watch a movie in the bright moon tomorrow. I'll go to your company to find you first, Wenyuoru continued. I hope you won't be late, senior. Won't. Zhang Xiaoxiao was listening to the conversation between them from behind, his little face wrinkled tightly. Seize the keywords, bright moon, movie. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 216. Chapter 216. Chapter 216 Upgraded. Xiao Xiao, do you want to go to the movies with us? Wenyuoru suddenly turned to look at Zhang Xiao. Zhang Shi, who had been eavesdropping, looked embarrassed and looked to the side with a guilty conscience. I have to go to school tomorrow. If I don't go, you can just go. Xiao Shi, there will be no school tomorrow and Saturday. The old man, I remember time most clearly. Zhang Xiaoxiao. Grandpa wouldn't lead you to cause trouble like this. Grandpa, I made an appointment with Hanyu. I will go to her house to help her make up lessons. Zhang Xiaoxiao pulled Chu Hanyu out as an excuse. Uncle An, you are going to Niuniu's house tomorrow to discuss the engagement, Fu Chenxiu said coldly. Zhang Xiaoxiao. Everyone is trying to undermine themselves. Why is it so difficult to tell a lie? Just when Zhang Xiao felt embarrassed, the garbage system that she thought had become an immortal spoke again. Garbage system, host, hello, have you missed me? Zhang Xiaoxiao. I miss you so much, you hot chicken. Garbage system, host, don't ask me to repeat it for the nth time, I can hear what's in your heart. Zhang Xiaoxi, so what if you can hear it? I just want to scold you. You trash. Isn't it a reminder system? Why didn't you come out to remind me last time when I was in danger? I thought you had been eliminated. Garbage system, host, I went for maintenance last time and I upgraded. Zhang Xiao said, look, you are really and need to be repaired. Garbage system, host, please speak nicely, we are still good friends. Zhang Shi, we have never been good friends. Garbage system. Wait a minute. Zhang Xiaoxiu's eyes widened suddenly. The garbage system was a reminder system. It reminded her every time she was in danger. Could it be that? Garbage system, host, it's not you who are in danger this time, but the old man next to you who is in danger. Zhang Xiaoxi, the old man is in danger, what danger? Can't you just predict my danger? Garbage system, host, I have upgraded the function is to predict when the people closest to you are in danger and when they will die. Zhang Xiao grasped the key point, death. In the original book, the old man never knew about Zhang Xiao's death because the boss kept it a secret, saying that Bai Yueguang had gone abroad. The old man had been following her all the way to the book and was still alive and well. How could he be in danger now? There is death. Garbage system, host, we are still 500 meters away from danger, are you sure you still want to be in a daze here? Zhang Xiaoxiu's face instantly turned pale. She didn't know where the danger would come from, but Grandpa, she would definitely not let him be in danger. No way. Stop the car, Uncle Wu, stop the car, Zhang Shi almost shouted, his pupils filled with panic. Fu Chenxiu didn't know why she suddenly became excited, but he still slowed down the car and asked in a deep voice, what's wrong? Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at the front of the windshield, his pupils shrank suddenly, he dropped the cake in his hand, and used his body to protect the old man in his arms. His voice was close to breaking, Uncle Wu, the car, in front of the car. As soon as Zhang Xiaoxiao said the words, the car body shook violently, followed by Wen Yueru's scream. Fu Chenxiu looked gloomy and held the steering wheel steady, first to stabilize the car body. End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 217. Chapter 217 Chapter 217 Fifth Uncle, be careful. The violent sound of the tires rubbing against the ground rang loudly in Zhang Shishi's ears. Zhang Shishi was wearing a seat belt and protecting the old man with both hands. Due to the violent shaking of the car, his body was bumped several times and hurt. She frowned. It took the car a full minute to stabilize itself. As soon as the car stabilized, Zhang Xiao's first reaction was to ask the old man, Grandpa, you are not injured. The old man is a man who has seen strong winds and waves after all, and he is relatively calm. He replied, Grandpa, it's okay. You were fine when you were young. When Zhang Xiaoxiao saw that the old man was fine, her tense nerves relaxed immediately. There was no color on her small and delicate face, and tears burst out of her eyes on the spot. She was so frightened that it didn't matter if she died, but she couldn't harm innocent people. Ah dash. Wen Yueru's exclamation attracted Zhang Shi's attention. Outside the car window, I saw the boss fighting with a man. The man still had a murder weapon in his hand. The boss escaped the man's attack with his bare hands. This is the first time Zhang Xiao has seen a big boss fight. They are fierce, accurate, and extremely aggressive, as if they have received professional training, just like the agents in the movie, they are powerful. Seeing that he couldn't defeat the boss, the man put down his weapon and prepared to evacuate. Naturally, Fu Chenxiu would not let him go and ran up to block the man's way. Uncle Wu, be careful. Zhang Xiaoxiao yelled with all her strength, and she saw a bullet being shot towards the boss. Fu Chenxiu had already reacted when Zhang Xiaoxiao shouted, dodged the attack, and the man took this opportunity to run away. Zhang Xiaoxiao saw that the boss had escaped the attack and was slumped in the car seat. His pale cheeks were covered with fine sweat, and his back was already soaked with sweat. Garbage system, host, you are safe now. Zhang Xiao, MD, I want to go back. Why am I in danger? You have to explain now. I won't listen to any excuses from you. Garbage system, host, please explain that you are not in danger, this is the old man's danger. Zhang Xiaoxi, then, just tell me who wants to harm grandpa. If you don't know, then go back and upgrade until you know. Zhang Xiao almost shouted this time. She was very irritable now. If she was in danger ahead, it didn't matter. But if the old man was in danger, she couldn't accept it. She couldn't accept it. The system is rubbish, this upgrade was not decided by the company, it was done collectively by the company, and it is too difficult. Child, what's wrong with you? Don't scare grandpa. The old man was frightened when he saw her talking a little mentally. Zhang Xiao was in tears and looking at a certain place with dull eyes. She didn't hear the old man talking to her at all. Uncle, let's get out of the car quickly. The car is leaking oil. I smell a strong smell of gasoline. Get out of the car. The car should explode. Wenyu had already recovered from the shock. As soon as Wenyu finished speaking, the car door was opened by a man with a gloomy face, and he pulled Zhang Xiaoxiao out of the car with a serious tone. Why are you so dazed? Do you want to die? Zhang was still in a daze during the hour. The old man was extremely distressed. You brat, why are you yelling? Didn't you see that you were scared when you were little? Fu Chenxiao's face was as dark as the bottom of a pot, and he stared at Zhang Xiaoxi with cold eyes. The two halves of his thin lips were tightly pursed into a straight line, and the contours were tight. End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 218. Chapter 218. Chapter 218. I am not the same person. Go back, Fu Chenxiao said coldly. Jiang's little face was pale as he was hugged by Fu Chenxiao. Senior, I'm leaving first. It seems we can't make an appointment tomorrow. There were several bodyguards in black standing behind Wenyu. Yeah, Fu Chenxiao nodded. Wenyu said goodbye to Fu Chenxiao and left in a car. The president's sister and the most powerful person in Ruchin were in danger. The seriousness can be imagined. The traffic police and criminal police came to investigate the scene. Yi Changji and Luo Yi drove all the way over, bringing dozens of bodyguards with them. When they saw Fu Chenxiao's driver's seat was seriously damaged, they frowned. Boss. Fifth Master. Are you okay? The two of them asked at the same time. With a tense face, Fu Chenxiao handed Zhang Xiaoxi to Yi Changji, sent Xiao Xiao back, and called Guanyang to help Xiao Xiao take a look. Yi Changji then focused his gaze on Jiangxi's face, and found that Jiangxi's expression was very abnormal, and his whole person was in a sluggish state. The old man next to me was very anxious. Yi Changji didn't waste any time and took Zhang Xiaoxi from Fu Chenxiao's hand. Luo Yi helped the old man get into the car and called Guanyang on the way. Fu Chenxiao drove to another place. Yi Changji sent Zhang Xiaoxiao home, and Guanyang was already waiting at home. When he saw Zhang Xiaoxiao in good condition, his eyebrows tightened involuntarily. Guanyang took Zhang Xiaoxi back to her own room and asked none of them to disturb her. Jiangxi's room. Guanyang held an old-fashioned pocket watch in her hand and began to perform hypnosis. When you were little, look at the pocket watch in Uncle Guan's hand, and you wouldn't be afraid anymore. Zhang Xiaoxiao's dull eyes followed the swing of the pocket watch in Guanyang's hand, and he slowly closed his eyes. Guanyang's deep and magnetic voice is like hypnotic music, intoxicating. Child, what happened today was all a dream, don't be afraid. Zhang Xiaoxi answered obediently, okay. When you wake up, let's forget this dream, okay, Guanyang continued. Good. Guanyang shook his watch and moved his fingers together, preparing to wake Zhang Xiao up with a snap of his fingers. Suddenly he changed his mind and continued to ask Jiangshi. Xiao Xiao, do you like your fifth uncle? This is when Jiang Xiao frowned slightly. She didn't seem to want to answer the question that much. However, she was now under hypnosis. It wasn't because she wanted to control whether to answer or not. Fen waited for her lips to open slightly before answering, I like it but. The corners of Guanyang's lips slightly raised. It seemed that the boss was not unrequited, but had liked her since childhood, so they didn't have to worry about them. But, what's the point even if I like Uncle Wu, it's not me he likes the original hour. What Zhang Xiao said next made Guanyang a little confused. What does it mean that he likes the original hour and there is another hour there? Xiao Xiao, your fifth uncle has always liked you from beginning to end. Uncle Guan promises you. Guanyang continued to talk to Zhang Xiao. Zhang Xiaoxiao's whole little face wrinkled up at this time, as if she disagreed with his words, and kept emphasizing, what she likes is the original hour, the original hour. Guanyang. Who is the original hour? The original hour is the Zhang hour in the book. I am not the Zhang hour in the book. I am just an ordinary Zhang hour. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 219. Chapter 219. Chapter 219. His expression became solemn. Guanyang was a little confused by Zhang Xiaoxi. His brows furrowed in confusion as he looked at Zhang Xiaoxi. What does it mean that she is not the Jiangshi in the book, she is just an ordinary Jiangshi? Could it be that Zhang Xiaoxiao now has a dual personality? Guanyang did not agree with this conjecture in his mind. Apart from anything else, he had watched Zhang Xiaoxiao grow up. He had always looked after Zhang Xiaoxiao when he was sick. It can be said that he is her personal doctor. If the patient has changed and he doesn't notice it at all, then all these years of being a doctor have been in vain. But he did not dare to ignore these changes in Zhang Shishi. In order to be more sure of Zhang Shishi's changes, he continued to talk to Zhang Shishi, ordinary Xiaoxi, can you tell Uncle Guan where you are from? Where does it come from? Zhang Xiao frowned and repeated Guanyang's words, I come from real society. Real society. Guanyang's expression became less solemn this time. When I was young, could you tell Uncle Guan why you came from the real world? The crease between Zhang Xiaojuan's beautiful eyebrows deepened, her smooth forehead was covered with dense sweat, and her long black eyelashes like butterfly fans trembled slightly. Guanyang noticed the change in Zhang Xiaoxi and immediately snapped his fingers. Zhang Xiaoxi opened his eyes suddenly, staring at Guanyang with his dark and clear eyes. Uncle Guan, why are you here? I went to have morning tea with my friends and we met you secretly, drank a little wine and got drunk. Your fifth uncle asked me to take you back. Guanyang casually made up a lie. Zhang Xiao's memory came back to her immediately. She followed the old man to an appointment with Wen Yuuru. Wen Yuuru seemed to have said that he would take care of her, so she didn't need her to take care of her. If he wanted to be with the boss, then they could be together. Zhang Xiao stood up from the sofa and asked Guanyang with a gloomy look, Uncle Guan, is Grandpa back? I'm back, downstairs. Guanyang answered him without any change in his expression. I'm going to see Grandpa. Zhang Xiao went downstairs with a straight face. Grandpa, have you finished talking to Sister Yuuru? Zhang Xiao ran to the old man's side. Just as the old man was about to speak, he saw Guanyang shaking his head upstairs. He immediately understood and replied to Zhang Xiao, yeah. Grandpa, can I know what you talked about with Sister Yuuru? Zhang Xiao tried his best to find out the old man's attitude towards Wen Yuuru. Just some common words. The old man didn't know what Guanyang did, so he didn't dare to answer randomly for fear of giving the wrong answer. Zhang Xiao curled his lips, not hearing what he wanted to hear, and said sourly, Grandpa, do you like sister Wenuru very much? The old man truthfully expressed his feelings for Wenuru. This boy Yuru is knowledgeable, well educated, and has good conduct. He is a good match for your fifth uncle. When the old man said this, Zhang Xiaoxiu's little face fell on the spot, and his tone was sour. Grandpa, you like sister Wenuru more than me. How could it be? Grandpa still likes you the most. No one can replace your position in Grandpa's heart. Why are you jealous? The old man scratched her small nose. Grandpa, you have never praised me so much, Zhang Xiao said sourly. The old man laughed kindly. That's because you haven't seen Grandpa praising you in front of outsiders. Grandpa is very proud. Grandpa, do you agree with Uncle Wu's marriage to Wenuru? End of this chapter. After wearing the book, I became the group favorite. Author, Little Ginger. Chapter 220. Chapter 220. Are there any changes in Chapter 220? Grandpa agrees, it's useless. Your fifth uncle agrees, the old man said helplessly. Zhang Xiaoxiao, why do I ask such idiotic questions? Don't worry, no one can take your place in Grandpa's heart. Don't be jealous. The old man touched her head lovingly. Zhang Xiao stuck out his tongue. Grandpa, I knew you were the best. Uncle Fu, let me check your body. There is another surgery in the hospital in the afternoon that requires me to go back. Guanyang walked to the old man's side. Grandpa, I'll take you upstairs. Zhang Xiaoxiao went up to help the old man. Upstairs, Zhang Xiaoxi was waiting outside the door, while Guanyang helped the old man check his body. The old man asked Zhang Xiao's condition worriedly. How is Zhang Xiao's condition? Uncle Fu, I performed amnestic deletion on the child. If she doesn't remember the time of the car accident, don't mention it in front of her. Okay. The old man was glad that he didn't say the wrong thing just now. Uncle Fu, has there been any change recently? Guanyang asked. When I was young, what happened? Guanyang, please don't hide it from me. The old man could hear an unusual meaning in his words. Guanyang didn't want the old man to worry too much, so he didn't tell him the truth. Uncle Fu, she suddenly behaved like this when she was young. I have to find out the cause of the disease, so I asked you if you have noticed any changes in her recently. The old man frowned and thought for a moment before replying. This girl has really changed recently. Her mouth has become sweeter, and she doesn't like her fifth uncle so much anymore. If she was asked to leave her fifth uncle when she was a child, she would definitely be unwilling to live or die. Yes, I am willing to leave during this time, and my chess skills have also improved a lot. Guanyang pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses, frowned slightly, and said calmly, Uncle Fu, the changes you mentioned are not changes. The changes I am talking about are changes that are completely different from her previous personality. The old man recalled in detail the recent interactions with Zhang Xiao. The little girl was sweet, and there was no big change. The only thing that surprised him was that she went to a male classmate's house to propose marriage. Does it count to propose marriage when I was young? Guanyang. When Zhang Xiaoxiao went to propose marriage, part of it was his own clever idea, and part of it was instigated by An Nangxuan. It couldn't be considered a special change. By the way, the last time I fainted, wasn't it the little girl who gave me first aid? The old man said this, which gave Guanyang some clues. Uncle Fu, these are not changes. The first aid knowledge to save you will be taught in schools. She may have been frightened more seriously when she was a child. I have performed amnestic deletion on her. It's okay, don't worry, there's still something to do at the hospital. I'll leave first. Fu Qiaocheo's office. Fu Chenexio's face was gloomy, his brows were furrowed, and his expression was extremely ugly. Brother, do you know what happened today? Fu Qiaocheo looked at Fu Chenexio with a puzzled face. What happened? Your political rival took action against Dad today. Fortunately, I am with Dad today, otherwise you should know the consequences very well, Fu Chenexio said in a cold voice. Fukuacheo's expression became serious on the spot, and he made a call using his office phone. Within a few seconds, his expression looked exactly like Fujinexiu's. "Okay, I know. I'll take care of it. Is Dad okay?" Fukuacheo hung up the phone and looked at Fujinexiu. End of this chapter.